Hey everyone, Eggman here with another video, and today we have a top 16 breakdown for the Game Trade regional that happened in Europe this past weekend. It was 114 players, and we do have this top cut breakdown for you guys here today. And real quick, if you guys do enjoy this video, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It would mean a lot to me, and I've been working really hard on making sure that my website, Eggman Events, is really up to date on a lot of these events across many games. It's been a lot of work, so if you guys appreciate it, again, please hit that like and subscribe. It would mean a lot for me. Anyways, going into this event, it was a total of 114 players, and we do have this top 16 here today with 4 Hunters, 4 Beelzemon, 3 Crossheart, all of them cross 7 variants, 3 Red Hybrids, 1 Blue Flare, and 1 WarGreymon as well. So, kind of a little bit more diverse than we saw here in North America for our own regionals during the same weekend. Surprisingly, also, we did have Blue Flare take first place in this one, which is, I don't think Blue Flare even topped our event here in North America, so really interesting as well. And I do have the archetype data, at least a good chunk of it too. So the majority of the list were Beelzemon with 24. There are 14 Hunters, 11 Crosshearts, 9 Red Hybrids, 8 of the Black WarGreymon X, which didn't really make it, and then also 8 Machine Dramons, 6 Bloom Lords, and then everything else was 5 or less copies of it. So a little bit, I think, again, more diverse than here in North America. Again, surprising that so many people are on Machine and not being able to make it, and it's kind of also hard to distinguish which is a Black WarGreymon X versus WarGrey. Normally it's kind of like the top end, but a lot of them have a lot of the same pieces, and so it's just kind of like at a decision point of what do you actually want your final piece to be anyways. So we're going to go over the top placing archetypes for each one of these, starting off with our first place list. So it's going to start with Luca's first place Blue Flare that we see here, and Blue Flare didn't get a lot of changes here. It will be getting a whole bunch of new support in the next expansion set that we will be getting in the next month or so, but it is still very strong, and part of the strength I think about Blue Flare is that your opponent has to know how to play around it to do well. Just the chance that if your opponent does give 2 Digimon out for you, you do get a lot of advantage for it, which is really interesting. Some other adds is that this one is playing a lot of like the rookies as well. So 3 Sayakomon and 3 Modoki Betamon as well, with no copies of the new Dracmon either. So just having Gaussmon as like the only Blue Flare version of a rookie. Also 2 copies of Jamming Vmon, which I thought was very interesting too. And our egg is the Wanyamon, which does get a draw with a tamer out. We only have the Kariha. We don't run the triple tamer in this build either, which is interesting. I know a lot of people usually run like 2 copies just for like another copy for potential, getting more resources, getting extra memory, and potentially, having just another tamer out to be able to suspend so you can do your Digicross with it. So, and then pretty much the rest of it's pretty standard from what we're seeing. 4 copies of Blazing Memory Boost isn't crazy. Ice Wall, 2 copies of Sorai, and then Death Axe to, just have like another kind of control part of the piece as well. So interesting build in the light, and, with a lot of mostly the rookie lineup's really the interesting part for that. And again, I this is probably like the least amount of tamers I've seen, either like Sorajo or also just the fact of like the triple tamers. I think is interesting there. But this is Luca's list. Congratulations on their first place finish on this one. Next up, we're going to look at Gabriel's second place Crossheart, and Crossheart hasn't been doing as well here in North America with the release of BT12. Most of the builds that have been doing well in North America are more of the Merva Cross, where you're more aggressive right out the gate, and you have like a bunch of gravity rushes and blinding rays to try to get more memory to kind of extend your plays and go for the win on a certain turn, which is normally pretty successful, especially since you really don't care if like what's in your opponent's security most of the time, because you just keep on playing, or crossing Digimon out, so you can keep getting those extra attacks. But I do like this list too, and I haven't been using Cross 7 as much yet. I have been wanting to experiment it with a little bit, but this one's really interesting. So when you play this card by placing 1 Shoutmon as a evolution card underneath this Digimon, reduce the cost by 1, and you can also use cards from your trash for Digicross, and then on play, return all Digivolution cards on one of your opponents to their owner's deck, and then return all that Digimon to the bottom of his owner's deck too. So being able to do that, have a good removal, and also the fact that all your Digimon's opponent security effects don't activate. It doesn't have to be on this attack. Just means that you're kind of in a good spot against some decks too. So it is a little bit expensive. It is a cool boy to be able to get out all at once as well, but it is generically very, very expensive to get off. But when you are able to make it work, it feels pretty good there too. We are also running like the Shoutmon Star Sword, since it is a Shoutmon, which can be important for, even doing your cross 7 plays too. And that's like the biggest thing. You have to have a Shoutmon out for this effect to go off, and so that can be a little bit tricky. You also have the Omni Shoutmon, which only counts as a Shoutmon when you would Digicross too. The King version is also treated as Shoutmon in any spots though, so that can be helpful in case you need to get this just out to do it. Unfortunately, this doesn't have like a Digicross or it does have a Digicross, yeah, so you can do it for a little bit cheaper too. So no, it's just in a weird spot for this cross 7 plays. So I think otherwise, like, this is a really cool deck. I haven't used it again as more of the mid-range value, which I think this build is more than like the aggressive Minerva. So I do want to test it out at least a little bit before we do get hit by that Ultimate Cup restriction next month. So anyways, congratulations to Gabriele for their finish, second place finish with this cross heart as well. Next up, we have our hunters list, and so this is Reda's third place hunter. And I've been kind of saying it that there's not as much room for creativity for this deck in general. It's more of just kind of based on player skill, the kind of decision points based on what tamers you use and quantities. But this is honestly probably one of the more basic builds I've seen, which is not an insult. It's just kind of how it is, being able to do the thing. I am surprised you are running Quartzmon without the Asimon. At least usually you run like 1 or 2 copies of it. But generally the rookie lineups, what I use: 4 Drachmons, 2 Kakimon, and then 2 purple, so 4 of each of these of the Gumdramon and also the Psychmon for your value. There's also the Restramon and the Superior mode, and then just kind of like the top end with this Omni Shout to get some potential removal, and then the Tamers that you have here as well. So again, this deck doesn't have a lot of variety in what you get to do, but it is very strong, and it's, again, very, very player-based, which I think is really cool. So congratulations to Reda for their finish in this one. Then next up, we have David with their 4th place Beelzemon. And see, it took us like, what, 5 minutes into this video to start talking about this deck, so that's kind of neat. That's probably a record for BT12 meta discussion, but I do obviously think this deck is very good. It's been doing very, very, very well here in North America, and I don't think it's going to be doing worse anywhere else necessarily. So there is some decision making. There is a lot of like 1 and 2 of text, and also which pieces that you like, especially since there's enough of the lines for both Impmon, just your entire line. There's too many Beelzemons, there's too many Impmons, there's too many Baumons as well, so you can make your decisions. So for this one particularly, like the 12 rookies are what you generically run all the time. Having a 13th rookie with Impmon is just a little splash there. Wizardmon with Wizardmon X is pretty standard, and then as many Witchmons that you want to add as well. Baumon usually people tend to go to the starter deck 14-1, but I've been seeing people on the BT10, and sometimes just a flex of a copy of the X Antibody one if you're running X Antibody in this deck as well, which this version is not, which is fine. I mean, this is just a solid purple list too, which I think it can be very good in the upcoming Ultimate Cup. Obviously, we have the restrictions on top of the color lock restrictions too that we have to take care of with this deck, but I don't necessarily just see this deck doing any worse like in the near future. I think it's very strong. I think you guys already know that. You guys already have your own opinions, but that doesn't mean this deck is not good. So congrats to David for their finish on this one. And then next up, we have our 5th place Red Hybrid. This is to our unknown player, but our unnamed player. But I think Red Hybrid's been doing a little bit more, just been better as the BT12 has been going on. It might even be like 3rd best deck in format behind Hunter and Beelzy, but it's just been very strong in a lot of ways. And just the recycle parts for it, just the amount of pieces you have in each part of your line. Again, generally that's what kind of shows off what deck is good, is if you have the actual number of pieces in your archetype that you need, that you can run it only that archetype with a couple of pieces of tech, right? Generally, that's what we see, because you'll always just find so many imperfect lines or have issues with consistency. But with 2 copies of Takuya in this deck, and also just your Emperor Greymon, even just like the fact that you can run 5 Emperor Greymons with 4 of them being the new one and 1 of them being the old one is just strong. You have your Goonimons, you have your Burning Greymons. This Burning Greymon is fantastic for what it is too, and then also flexing in Bokomon, which has been popular for being able to find your tamers, as well as your hybrid cards, and then also your Nemon, which is also on play. You may play 1 tamer with an inherit effect from your hand without paying its memory cost, and also all turns must return when one of your Digimon with a tamer and its evolution cards is deleted. You may play 1 tamer from your trash without paying its memory cost. So this can be just helpful as just like a way to play your Takuya, and technically you can cheat it out for 1 easier, which is nice. And then also this can always attack later, and then also if you it just makes you a little bit easier going into your tamers and recycling them. The only thing with it is that it's like sometimes hard to get tamers into your trash for the second effect, but it's it's strictly because of if one of your tamers gets deleted, or one of your Digimon get deleted when they have a tamer underneath it, you get to play it for free, which is, again, some value for you. So not much else to say. I also say Omnimon, I think, is needed for this deck. I see a lot of people not run Omnimon, honestly, and I think that's a mistake. I think Omni can just help you clear games, because you will get to these points where you can do, 4 checks or whatever, but you don't get that one extra hit a lot of the time, and Omnimon can just kind of save the day for that too. So anyways, this is our list here. Congratulations to our 5th place player for their finish there. And to wrap it on up, we do have this WarGreymon build. It might be a WarGreymon X. Let me know what you guys think in chat, if this is a WarGreymon or WarGreymon X. I tend to just kind of look at the newer top end for it, and so I'd say this is more of a WarGreymon deck that has the WarGreymon X, but it's just, especially like all the Greymon decks, they all just kind of merge together. A lot of them just use a lot of the same pieces, and it's been kind of difficult for me to definitively organize them for what they are too. Also, this player is unnamed too, so that's fun, but congratulations to our 11th place for this WarGreymon list. And just running a lot of the typical stuff. I say this is more aggressive than defensive, even though we're running 1 copy of Hades Force, and we're also running the Omni X antibody, which can be good for stopping your opponents doing attacks. Just the fact that you're running the Metal Greymon X here from BT9 to get that additional security attack +1. You're also running 3 copies of the Star Deck 1 Greymon to get that additional Star security attack +1, and the tie and everything. So you just have a lot of ways where you can get that OTK kind of potential, especially with this WarGreymon, with the Metal Greymon piercing inheritable underneath it. If you're able to activate your raid, you get to do 2 damage, and that just escalates for every security attack you have on top of this. So I think that's a good idea. And then you can also just digivolve into WarGreymon, obviously, especially if you have X antibody underneath you, and a solid deck. It's been working very well. Obviously, I think WarGreymon is just an archetype that is blessed with as many pieces as it wants, and as many lines as you want to kind of create and make some ideas for, and I think that's been very strong for it. It just is for like the last year or so. So anyways, this is our 11th place list, and that is going to be our video for us today. Again, maybe a little bit quicker, but we didn't have a lot of archetypes in general, or only 6 in the top 16, which is fine. Again, compared to the 50% pie chart from Beelzy X from the last event I covered, it's a little bit healthier from that, which I think is nice. But that's going to be it for me. If you guys want to see all these deck lists, make sure to check out Eggman Events, which is linked in the description below. And again, if you've made it this far into the video, make sure to hit that like and subscribe, and that's going to be it for us. So again, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll catch you all next time.